James did a video recently. You don't have to buy a boring car.
I like number one.
Well, wait. What are you laughing at?
Bentley Continental GT.
You can get one for under 25 grand?
Yeah.
No way.
You can be the poorest rich guy. This would be fantastic.
I wouldn't say it's a smart purchase, but it's a funny purchase.
Last time you were here, by the way, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
This is fun to have you here.
Hell yeah.
We've got a good show. We've got Carol Leifer, who's going to be on in a little bit, talking about her book, How to Write a Funny Speech, former Seinfeld writer. So we'll get into some of those Seinfeld stories. But last time you were here, James, and we were talking about this at my dinner table last night.
Oh, really?
My boys and I. And you were doing 30 like health trends in 30 days.
Yeah.
Right?
So I'm done, thank God.
You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More alive than ever, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. And I think you were about a week in, and a couple of funny things happened. After you were on the show last time, I was messaging you and you just went dark. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Either this guy.
I was supposed to come check out the Gunther Works.
That's
9/11.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he goes dark. I'll be there at 11 and then I don't hear from him. Then I'm like, did he die? Or, the more likely.
5150'd.
Yeah. The more likely in my head was like, what did I say to this poor guy?
Yeah.
I insulted him, or the show went wrong and somebody's suing him. And just nothing for 2 weeks.
He was in the sweat lodge.
Yeah.
No,
you do a sweat lodge?
I did sauna every day for like 14 days, which was great.
But the thing he did do was you weren't using your phone.
Yeah, I went no screens for like 4 days.
Wow.
How was that?
I think my business suffered. You
Lost money.
Yeah, so there's 4 of us and 2 of us didn't have any screens.
Wow.
So it was like being in 4th grade, like my coworkers would come and knock on my door and be like, "Hey man, can you come out and work?" So it was like liberating on some level. And I think that I do want to make more of an effort to not be on my screen, because I think I realized how much I'll just that's like my go-to. And it forced me to be like, okay, I'm bored right now. What should I do? Should I go read a book? Should I go outside? So I definitely want to make more of an effort to not be on them, but it was kind of dumb. And
Here's where we were almost arguing last night.
yeah.
Which of these 30 things was the hardest? Because I recall you saying in our conversation after was not having a phone was rough.
Yeah.
Giving up caffeine was tough.
Yeah.
It was hard. The ice baths, the first time it's not so bad, but maybe later.
Yeah.
My oldest was like, ice baths are not hard.
Yeah, sure.
So
we were born to do them. Our ancestors dipped in ice baths every day.
but I
It's
said,
actually weird that we don't do them.
right. But I said to him, I go, look, he was only halfway through. I'll ask. He goes, you got to ask him tomorrow, what were the 3 hardest things? It's not going to be the ice bath.
Okay. Animal-based carnivore diet sucked.
Why?
Really?
Yeah. So we did keto, we did paleo, and then we did keto paleo, and then we did full animal-based. And so keto, paleo, I kind of understand the science behind it. And I thought it was just sort of like a fad diet, but there is scientific evidence to support that is good for you, certain people. If you have type 2 diabetes, keto paleo is a really good diet for you. Animal-based is absurd because it just you should eat vegetables. I feel like there's vitamins and nutrients that come from leaves that we should eat, and realizing
Fiber.
Yeah, fiber. And so just when you on an animal-based diet, everything is just so rich.
Crap.
Yeah. I felt like I was gonna get gout. I felt like
That does happen.
Benjamin Franklin or something.
Yeah.
The richest food ever. So I think animal-based was the worst for me.
Be careful banging on our desk. It's like a timpani drum. Ingram will tell you that this is one of the weird things about the set.
Last time I was on here, I saw comments saying you know not to kick
I
the
never have noticed it, but someone said put it over your TV and play this minute, and it goes boom.
You got to get a Dynomat sponsor.
So wait, so you got to.
I got the flies all over me. I want to know what a day on the animal base was like. What did you eat morning, noon, and night?
I woke up. Oh, because we were at the end we were also fasting, like intermittent fasting. That's animal based. You can eat that.
Yeah.
We were also intermittent fasting. So I'd wake up, I would go to the gym, and then I would get home and I could only eat when the sun was up.
Right.
And so then I would eat like a half a pound of ground turkey and some eggs. And it's like up in the air whether honey is animal based or not because bees make it. But I mean, it like wasn't exciting at all. Like by the time animal based, because there's like only so many animals and there's only so many things that are based on them.
Okay, can you have salsa or that's
no, because that's also like, you know, a tomato is not a plant, but a tomato is also a nightshade.
Oh,
which
can't
on
have those.
some like paleo diets we can't have nightshades because back in the day those were poisonous. And the
interesting.
only reason that they're not poisonous is because of farming.
What's now? Okay, so animal-based diet, hardest. Second.
Phone was tough. Meditation was really hard.
Oh, wow.
Just because I got so bored.
But what, you had to meditate for what? Once a day? Or
15 minutes once a day.
I do that every day anyways.
Yeah.
Did you finally adjust to it? I mean, it took me years. It probably took me 10 years before I could do it. Yeah. And actually now look forward to it. But it took 10 years.
It's a hard thing. I think I think a lot of these things I underestimated how hard they would be. And meditation was definitely one of them because the whole idea of it is to not think.
Right.
Which is really hard.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like sitting there and reflecting. Like if you're reflecting, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, but not to go down a meditation hole, but if you acknowledge your thought and let it go by, that's how you unclog the pipe and get to that place.
Let them drop out. Transcendental.
Yeah.
You transcend the thought. It drops in, it drops out. That's why you have to have the mantra. Not that I'm an expert at any of this, but it is. I found it difficult until I took a course from a TM specialist.
So you did transcendental.
Yes.
I did headspace. I didn't want any of the mantras or any of the words like that in my head. I wanted the scientific approach. But now I can drink a shot of espresso and 20 minutes later go meditate and go right out, snap right back.
You guys are making me want to practice more and get better at it. So next time I come back.
Here's the only advice I would give you is just find, it's all the same stuff. It's like religion.
Yeah.
You just have to find the right flavor that you like and approach it that way. And it was all of the words like mantra or paying the transcendental meditation people. It was really Headspace that simplified it and was more scientific that made it work.
That was a guided. Headspace is kind of guided.
It's a little app you use and it guides you through it. And then eventually you leave it and then you don't need it anymore. And it teaches you kind of the breathing and scientific simplicity without getting too much into it. There's no come up with a 5-word thing or any of that crap.
Well, I like going to the TM center and meeting the guy with the super bright eyes. He was high on life, and then we talked for a few sessions about nothing. And then he said, "I'm going to give you your mantra, which is a word." And you can't tell anybody. And that cracked me up because it just makes me think everybody's got the same one and it's all a part of the con. But then what I got out of it was that you just don't attach to the thoughts. You can't necessarily quiet your mind, but if you let whatever drops in your mind as a thought drop out, like just let the conveyor belt of thoughts just go by.
That is super useful.
And then
if you can figure out how to do that.
Yeah, you let the conveyor belt go by, and eventually you're not going to think about much of anything, and the time goes very quickly. Yeah. It's a step you got to take, but it's one of those things where I find I'm too busy to do it. I'm too busy not to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like definitely
how's that for your meditation?
Was like the hardest part was like motivating myself to sit down and do it.
Of any of these things you did in 30 days, which I wasn't present for this podcast, which ones will you maintain, if at all?
Still running, journaling. I think I'm actually going to do a podcast based on journaling. Just like by myself.
So it'll just be you writing for an hour?
Well, no, I'm going to journal. I'm going to journal every day for 30 minutes. And then on Sunday, I'm going to kind of like put them together and then do like an hour.
It's really great.
Yeah.
It's really great for your happiness to do that stuff. You get it all out.
And I'm going to call it James's Practice Podcast.
Happiness. Can't spell happiness without penis.
He's got a whole network.
We're getting a
speed network.
One day.
Do we smoke speed on the Speed Network?
We should.
Could we make speed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do. Let's talk about BRUNT. BRUNT is a new boot sponsor that we have, Zuckerman.
Really?
And let me tell you why I took on BRUNT, why I took on these guys, because I have one pair of work boots that I wear for the backyard and for riding my motorcycles, and they're really uncomfortable. And these guys said, let us send you some boots, the BRUNT guys, and they're fans of the show. They've been with us for quite some time. They sent me a nice pair of boots. These things are so comfortable. I don't have them with me, but I have a pair of these, the Marin boot, best-selling boot they have. Lightweight, waterproof, slip and oil resistant, heat resistant, electrical hazard rated. You get it? This is stuff you can kind of wear on the job, and they are super comfortable as well. You can finally have durable work boots that are as comfortable as your sneakers. Join over 500,000 other customers, and guess what? BRUNT lets you try on the boots on the job, risk-free. All of their products, in fact, have free shipping. BRUNT didn't just make a durable work boot, they reinvented comfort for the hardest workers out there. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off at BRUNT by using code SPIKE911 at checkout. Just head to BRUNTworkwear.com/SPIKE911. BRUNT, Zuckerman.
BRUNT. I'm
BRUNT,
9.5.
not grunt.
9.5. I am.
You're 9.5?
Yes.
That's my shoe size.
Well, I will take some BRUNTs.
I'll have them. They'll send you. I get a big box of stuff. The work
Send
pants, the clothes. They would actually go with what you're wearing.
Really?
Yeah. I never know with some of our friends who sponsor the show. So I say, don't bother Zuckerman. I don't bother him.
It's. I have very little mind space for anything, but a couple things. BRUNTs started showing up on my Instagram feed. I was wondering why.
Interesting.
The power of social media, why this stuff was suddenly showing up.
That's the AI, Zuckerman.
It's the
It's
AI.
the AI. Yes, they connected us. So tell them to send me some stuff.
You just did.
Okay.
This is all being televised somewhere.
Televised.
This is all being. We assume. We assume this is being put out.
BRUNT
on
will
some
see it,
channel.
and BRUNT will send it.
Yeah.
AI truly is insane.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
very-
If you Google something like, what are the most extensive collections or archives of materials, the Outlaw Archive will pop up.
Wow.
And it has a valuation too.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And it sometimes, and it does, as we know, hallucinate. And it did hallucinate the value of the archive in a way I really appreciate.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Wow.
It was up there with the Smithsonian, the Louvre, and then the Outlaw Archive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James did a video recently. Here it is right here. You don't have to buy a boring car. I love the stuff that you look at this microphone.
Oh yeah.
This is see the younger generation, Zuckerman. See what they do?
It's like an ice cream.
Yeah.
Or a penis, whatever you think.
Looks like a penis to you?
Well,
It's Elon Musk's penis. That's what Elon's penis looks like.
but the video is you don't have to buy a boring car without having to run through it, unless there's a spot you can take us through. I thought maybe you could just give us some of the suggestions. I thought there were some really interesting suggestions for car buys here. The general premise being, fun, reliable, and affordable. And
Yeah, just daily drivers. I feel like everything that you do should be a representation of yourself. I think
Right.
like putting your taste out there, like use every opportunity to express yourself. So I think there's a lot of people who think of cars as like A to B. Not you guys, nobody in this room, but I think like there's no excuse to not drive like a pretty cool car, at least something that you're like you look back at.
You know what I realized? I remember reading years ago how much time I would spend in a car in my lifetime, and that's really where I started applying a lot of thought to this.
Yeah,
like I should make sure that a big space of time is at least fun in some way,
Yes,
and interesting in some way.
After bed, after work, car comes third.
Right.
It's the place you're at. It's the third most.
So why
in your
oppress
life.
yourself? And there are people out there right now going, well, we don't have the money to buy. It's like, well, no. My first car was a $2,000. It was a Cougar XR7 out here, and it didn't even have the top on it. It was a convertible, without the canvas, and I fucking loved it, and I was happy driving it around. Are these the cars you're recommending here?
Yeah.
I saw you had the Honda S2000.
Yeah, sort of a dark horse daily.
I like
driver
suggestion.
Well, wait, what are you laughing at?
Bentley Continental GT.
That really makes me laugh. You can get one for under $25,000.
Yeah, totally.
Come on.
There's a number of them online for like $20,000.
No way.
You can be the poorest rich guy. This would be fantastic.
I wouldn't say it's a smart purchase.
Because of the service.
Yeah, but it's a funny purchase.
I had no idea. I would get one of those for under
sure.
25.
Should we plan Z one of those?
Well, look, let me, the cars he makes, this is why advertising works. I watched this video from top to bottom and I wanted to buy every one of these cars. He's laying out the reasons for all of them. But you were almost apologetic when you talk about the Honda S2000. Was that just because it was a 2-seater and not practical?
Yeah.
Because it's a cool car.
Yeah, I think it's because it's a 2-seater, but most of the time when you're commuting, you're alone.
Right.
So why not? Like you could drive a 1-seater.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's called a motorcycle.
So every one of these things, C6 or C7, no brainer. I'm there.
Totally.
Porsche Cayenne diesel, great idea.
Yeah, I think diesel luxury SUVs are very overlooked in the American market.
And I like the idea of participating in Dieselgate.
Yeah,
it's a kind of an outlaw thing to do. We're going to get a diesel, and it had its moment. I'm in love with this.
You can do that with the BMW X3 diesel. The one place though that I strongly disagree with you is number 11.
Honda Fit.
And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
You lay out some very good reasons that all make perfect sense, but what you don't understand here on the west side of LA is the worst gig drivers drive the Honda Fit. Like they are giving this car a really bad rep. And I have a bit of a resentment whenever I see them now. I just hate them. I just hate them on the road. And I hate the guy driving them because they're usually the ones doing the dangerous U-turns or you know what I mean?
I mean, as a BMW driver, I definitely understand I want to separate the car from the driver. You know? Like I think it's easy to associate a car with a certain class of people.
Yeah.
And so if you can overlook the gig driver, the Honda Fit owner, I think, the Honda Fit really harkens back to that 90s golden era of Honda.
True.
In a more affordable and like more reliable way. So if you want like a car that is basically the size of a 90s Civic, with VTEC, Honda Fit for sure, dude.
Yeah,
okay, guess now which I like one my car is. The unexpected
for you?
Unexpected pick on this.
S-Class.
No, I would say you're the BMW 328 wagon.
Nope, I'm number 8.
Volkswagen GTI.
I'm Volkswagen
that's
GTI guy. That's where I'm going on this.
Yeah,
list.
me too. It's a good looking car.
Yep, and it's fun, sporty.
Fun, sporty. They've made them forever.
Everyone can work on them.
Mm-hmm.
And what year Bentley are we talking about?
05, 06, I bet.
Oh, no.
Yeah, 20-year-old. Yeah.
Wow. That could be the deal of a century. That could be the deal of a century.
Speed isn't quite at the point where I can make $20,000 jokes, but as soon as I can, I want to get a Bentley Continental GT. Because they also raced them. Have you guys have seen the...
I have not,
the Bentley Continental GT race cars? I think it's like Group 4 or something, but like you see them out there with all the other cars in the class and they're like twice as big and it just looks like an orca running with a pack of dolphins. And they're like quick. They're nice and cool. Yeah.
Do they still have smashing derbies? Do they have those demolition derbies?
Yeah, totally.
I would love to.
Yeah,
yes,
that would be
a Continental and a demolition derby.
Yeah, Bentley Continental. Derby.
Okay. You drive, I sponsor. My law firm.
100%.
Okay, can we do this?
Yes, I will.
My law firm, and you're the driver.
I'm 100% serious. I'll do it. We'll make a video on speed. It'll get a gajillion views, I'm sure.
Okay, this would be fantastic. Yeah. I'll put on a suit. I'll even chomp on a cigar.
Yeah, you got to get a cowboy hat.
Yeah, of course. Now, Pumphrey, don't disappoint me, Pumphrey.
So
you better win this.
So I want to get this straight. So personal injury. Yes, law firm.
Dude, that is amazing.
Is going to sponsor a smash-up derby in a Bentley.
Yeah.
Yes,
with James Pumphrey.
I mean,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what if God forbid
we're going to win a golden pencil for this?
Yeah. What if he gets hurt?
What?
What if he gets hurt?
And
yeah.
So
I'm serious.
So it's called assumption of the risk. This is okay. Did Evel Knievel worry about getting hurt?
Yeah, this is a little different. He wasn't sponsored by you.
Okay, he was sponsored by somebody.
Yeah.
Remember when he smashed into the fountain at Caesar's Palace?
Yes.
See? And that was how long ago? 50 years ago?
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
You still remember
that. Yeah.
I do.
It's a sticky moment.
I really want to name my son Evil, but my fiance isn't into it.
Yeah.
Well, then don't get married.
EVEL.
I think this is a reason to pull out.
And then adopt a son by myself.
What about the middle name?
Dave, after my dad. Evil Dave.
Evil Dave. That's a great name.
Yeah, dude.
Evil Dave.
You get it?
Pumphrey. Yeah, that's really funny.
You're a cool guy.
But funny it doesn't cut it, but I love that.
Yeah.
That's
Why not?
really funny.
Evil Dave Pumphrey. That's
He's either going to be a rock star or a drug addict.
Yeah,
one or both.
Yeah,
there you go. This
Totally.
is.
Would you sponsor Evil Dave Pumphrey and some sort of
100%.
sort of smash up derby with like go-karts?
Yeah.
Okay, could you imagine if the baby's in the car with him in a car seat during? He's got a little helmet on.
Dude, that's
He's
Put it on the
talking.
bill-
We
that's
have a
the
little
billboard.
AI talking faster, Dad. He's 10 months old.
Dude, I'm serious about this. I will drive a Bentley.
Oh, this is
Continental
happening.
in,
He's serious.
Oh, I'm serious.
Dude, I'm 100% serious too.
We'll shake on the show. Listen, we're going to look in the camera. We are doing this.
No one
This is
cares.
done.
This doesn't mean
is
this is
sick.
not binding.
I'm so excited.
Oh, it's
about
binding on me.
Podcasts are binding.
They're
This
not.
it was a contract, offer and acceptance.
Podcasts are
I'm
the only
binding.
thing.
We're
All right.
putting the stickers.
I'm super
on
excited about this. Where do they have these races?
I'm sure somewhere in like Fontana or something.
This is great.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
travel for it.
This could be a big thing. A traveling podcast. It's sponsored.
Yeah.
This is it. Yeah. I fly in. I've got a cowboy hat, a cigar. Yeah.
Get the checkbook out.
Dude, this is the dream.
This is a big one.
Yeah.
This is not. What do we got to do? We got to throw out the interior, put in a roll cage, and some screens.
Yeah. I think we got to bust out all the windows, which will that'll be fun in and of itself. Dude, I bet a Bentley Continental would do pretty good in one of these.
There's a lot of weight. It's it. Well, okay, so is it mass times speed is velocity? And then so we have some element of mass here.
We have
a lot of mass.
Yeah. Totally. Dude, I mean, this is awesome.
Bentley's going to be psyched.
Yeah, Bentley's going to be so
They could pay us not to do it.
Huh?
Wait, what if they can pay us not to do it?
I mean,
No.
I think there's a demographic at the Demolition Derby that Bentley is 100% just overlooking. Right
Yeah,
now.
I do too.
Yeah,
This
we're
is a
gonna-
whole new audience for them.
And our demographic will think this is fantastic.
Yeah,
Look.
it's called brand awareness.
This ship has been launched. This ship
Oh, this
has
is good.
been
Dude, this is really
launched. I want to tell you about a podcast you should check out, and it's not this one. It's called Drive with Jim Farley, our friend. The Ford CEO, Jim Farley, talked to some of his favorite people about what they drive and what drives them to succeed. In each episode, you're going to hear Jim speak to people like, let me turn the page, Randy Nonnenberg from Bring a Trailer, who just helped us out with that motorcycle auction for Pally High Zuckerman. Doing a good job there. Vicky Butler Henderson, the British racing driver. Gronk has been on that show. Jimmy Fallon has been on that show. It's got some good guests.
Yeah.
I've been watching, they're in their third season. I've been watching their first and second season. I really can't believe the guest lineup this guy gets. I guess I should become CEO of Ford.
Yeah, you'll get people to listen.
Yeah, who's the girl he has on that we've been trying to get on? Oh, Sydney Sweeney.
Wow, that's a get.
She is. She's a real gearhead herself. She works on Broncos with Rod Emery. Did you know that?
I did not
Yeah,
know
yeah.
this.
And drives the same Bronco I drive, which is that limited heritage edition.
Get her in.
To listen, well, it's not that easy, Zuckerman. I've asked.
Get her in.
Really?
She has hostile PR. Hostile
she?
PR folks.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Hostile. You know, you have a line of defense with PR sometimes, and she's such a property that, you know, it's hard to get through the defenses.
If I get her for you,
Wow, you're so benevolent this episode.
I will get her for you.
How can you do that?
Just you leave that to me.
Wow. He's like
Okay.
Santa Claus.
Should we,
Yeah,
I want to we have a bet though. I bet I can get her on the show.
Okay, I don't want to work against you. I'd like you to try that.
Sounds great.
Okay.
But if you do, sometimes when I have celebrities at that level, I don't have a co-host, but I'll bring you along.
Well, I don't need to even be here. I
I'd
don't
like you to
care.
be there.
Okay. If you want me to get her and you want me to be here,
I
it's
would.
done.
Yes.
Consider it done, Ferriston.
Anyway, listen to Drive with Jim Farley. Just search for Drive with Jim Farley in your podcast app. That's Drive with Jim Farley.
That's the best promo ever.
Jim, yeah. Jim was on the show a couple weeks ago.
The most
or last week.
dramatic promo.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about this G-Wagon I'm driving. And here it is. There's that G-Wagon there. Oh, nice profile on Spike. Look at that blue car, Zuckerman, you have there at 356. It's gorgeous.
Look
at these colors together. The blues and the grays. They're so beautiful.
Everything.
Look at those. That color palette. Holy shit. How when they make a movie, James, they have the color palette?
Yeah.
Someone should make a movie with these colors. These should be the 3 primary colors of your next movie. What a gorgeous combo there. That's like that's going to be my outfit at Pebble Beach this summer. We wear these colors. All right, get over to this electric G-Wagon.
I'm not super excited about electric cars usually in general, but when this car was announced, I was really stoked.
So, of course, the G-Class was developed as a military vehicle from a suggestion by the Shah of Iran, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi,
if he had only
to Mercedes.
stayed in power.
And was later offered as a civilian vehicle and is now turned into our version of the Birkin bag. It's the Birkin bag of SUVs right here. I think famously, Zuckerman, right? They tried to get rid of the G-Wagon years ago because it's so impractical. It's so upright and it's so ridiculous.
I have one.
The clunky door locks. But the fans of the G-Wagon said Mercedes is not going to happen. And then as everything moved into electric, they thought again, maybe we get rid of this thing. No, they said, we're going to electrify it. And here it is. They call it the G580 E4. I call it the electric G-Wagon.
E-Wagon.
The electric E-Wagon.
E-Wagon for electricity. And you see, it's nice to have the Range Rover, which is really the taproot kind of vehicle behind it to see its predecessor, which it was based. I think Mercedes initially didn't like the fact that it was being built out of their regular production facilities. It was Steyr-Puch. It was being built in Austria.
Right.
On that production line. But then, of course, they're geniuses at figuring out that if they move it up market, make it fancy, think of all the profit. But if you look at it, but it's impractical. Just the general shape of it is very military, and it just didn't seem like you could drag it into the 2000s. Yet you're right, it became its own thing, and it's super cool. And just the top line for me on this thing was I absolutely love it. I love this version more than any other G-Wagon I've driven. And I never knew how much I wanted an electric version of this particular vehicle. When I drove the G63 that had a hot rodded motor and a big gas guzzling sound, it never really felt that it worked in concert with the vehicle. It always felt like it was kind of jammed into it. And the truck always kind of like flew around the road in a weird way. And it just felt awkward. As an electric, it's unbelievable. This car is such a winner for me. I remember, I think Johnny drove it and I called Mercedes up and I said, send it to me. And I didn't have high hopes for it because I just thought it's going to be another weird version of the G-Wagon. But it's absolutely silent inside. The miles are as represented. There's one of these cars that you charge it and you get the actual miles, unlike the Tesla company. It's super luxe inside. Here, open it up. Spike, is this a production vehicle or a prototype?
No, this is a production vehicle, 580 horsepower. It's not as quick off the line as the G63. 0 to 60 is like 4.1. But it's one of these cars, Zuckerman, that like just everything works in it. You get into it. It's got Apple CarPlay. It's got the Android interface. It's got, little screens in the back for the kids. But I've had a flawless week in it. It's integrated into my life perfectly, just perfectly.
I mean, an electric G-Wagon makes sense because like one of the downsides of electric is weight. But like this car already weighs 7,000 pounds. Yeah. So what's another 3,000?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Is that where we're at on this thing? 10,000 pounds?
No, it's I think 79. Wow. I think, and then it's got paddle shifters on it. A couple of funny little details about it. That's just controls the regen. So you click on the left, it adds the strongest regen. I think there's just like 4 clicks both ways. You go to the right and you take the regen off and the car just rolls. You know that nice roll that we like in cars? You give it a little electric boost and it just goes zip, just rolls down the road for a little bit like it's almost in neutral. It's really nice. And you can use the regen as a brake. So you're not, with that weight ruining your brake pads every time you drive this thing. The other thing it has that's funny that you won't use because you really appreciate it is a fake motor sound you can click on.
Dumb.
Which I don't mind that stuff because I live in a pretend world, so I don't mind pretend sound. But it undoes. There's not a lot of badging that says this is electric. Like if you look closely, you can see that it's electric, but it takes a second of staring at it. So to add that sound inside and out, to me, kind of undoes what's really beautiful about this thing, which is the absolute silence. You know, when you're locked into a Range Rover or even the G-Wagon, it has that click and you feel like you're airtight. Right. And now you've got sound deadening. You press the start button, the engine doesn't start. It's just silent. It's really insulates you from the outside world, this car.
And what will this set you back? You're going to buy this?
I think this one's up there around 190. Okay, here on the back, here, check this out. That's not a tire.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's square.
That's a little, maybe you can open it up. I don't know if you can reach around there, Cameron. It's just a little holder for the charging cables. Or what I call this the Chipotle holder. When you don't want the stinky fast food that you just picked up in there.
I like that.
You put it in there, yeah. But again, as to reduce weight, they didn't want to put the spare tire on, so they are very conscious of how heavy this thing is.
So I have a 2004 G500, and it's like solid front axle, like just. It's terrible to drive, but it's worth it because I think it looks really cool.
Yeah.
And it's wild that this looks basically the same as my 20-year-old G-Wagon.
And all sorts of fun.
I love. I think more companies should like stick to the thing.
Yeah, continuity. Yeah. Like something BMW lost, right? Totally, but Porsche has. Yeah. And the G-Wagon has.
The GTI has.
Yes.
And there are all these like heritage touches, like... You know, I had to pick up kids from various sports things and friends, and not one of these kids could open the doors properly and close them because they're old-fashioned doors.
Yeah. Like, heavy doors.
They kept pushing the button.
They kept have the thumb strength.
They didn't have they didn't.
Kids today don't have the thumb strength.
They don't. Not one of them. They'd press it and expect the door to do all the work. Yeah. And I'd go, you got to push it all the way in.
That's really funny.
And then,
the music.
We'd go, and 3 of the 4 doors would be open. And I go, guys, none of you, because they don't slam the doors. These things are just like the 90s G-Wagons. You got to push in with your thumb and you got to slam the doors, which I like, you know.
I mean, that's a G-Wagon thing. You have to like really put some effort into it. Like I drive a bunch of old kind of crummy cars. And like most of the time I'm telling people like, be very gentle closing the door. But with the G-Wagon, you really got to put your shoulder into it.
Exposed hinges. Love that.
Yeah, I like this thing a lot. What is that little cutout in the fender flare?
No. Look at that.
Interesting detail.
What is that?
Cool the hot brakes.
Or is that a grip to get in somehow?
So yeah, these things are they're closing in on 200, 180.
I like them. And that's a good spec too.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. 10 out of 10 for me. This is the first one I think Zuckerman I would actually get and drive myself.
I think this is like a really good application of electric because I think a lot of times there's too much going on to like suggest that it's futuristic.
Right.
Where this is the exact opposite. It's just like it's a big box and then we put some batteries and an electric motor on it.
And you're off.
Well, seeing these two vehicles together, the Range Rover and the electric, 43 years apart.
Yeah.
And the Rover is so primitive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's such a wonderful pile of crap.
Well, are these the two SUVs that have lasted the longest?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Toyota's got the Land Cruiser is almost that long.
Land Cruiser might have been before G-Wagon.
Yeah, I think so.
G-Wagon was late 70s.
We can keep going a little bit if you want.
I'll take one too, Mercedes. I would take one of those off your hands too.
I'll just tell you I'll just give you the guy's name.
You need some brutes.
What's
some
that?
BRUNT boots.
Yeah,
some BRUNT boots, and I need a G-Wagon. Yeah.
And we need we'll welcome some other sponsors.
Yeah.
For our.
Did you ever reach out to? Did you reach out to Peter for Gunther?
We had been talking.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah, but if anyone wants to sponsor our Bentley Continental GT demo derby car, hit us up.
He's sponsored.
Well, additional sponsors. There's a lot of real estate on this car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what we'll call it. We have to think up a name for our little baby.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we can get to here. Oh, you know what? I took my first Waymo ride the other day, and I had an unexpected revelation, Zuckerman. All right, Because we've talked about Waymo. We've seen the kids ripping them apart in downtown LA, and we were laughing at that and going along with it. But I was moving cars from here, my hangar to your hangar, moving stuff around, clearing space. And, I had to go from here to there and drive a car back here to there again. So I opened up this Waymo app and I got in. And here's the thing that you will love, the absolute thing you will love. There's no smelly person in there.
Yeah,
there's not
no guy in there.
There's no guy.
Right.
There's no music. There's no vibe. But you don't have to talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That was that hit me like a lightning bolt, right? And I wasn't in the mood. I was tired, and I didn't want to have that pleasant little polite chat. Oh, how are you? And then realize I'm getting rated by this guy, and so if I'm not nice, I'm going to get a weird rating. They rate drivers on the passengers on Uber.
I've never gotten a negative rating, Ferguson. What have you?
Well,
done?
how do you know? How do you know?
Because you can tell. You can see how many.
My rating is not so good, and I'm a really good tipper. But if I'm listening to bad jazz, I'll go, can you turn that down?
Bad jazz. That's where I draw the line.
Once a guy had, he had the windows up. It was really hot in there. I rolled the window down. He rolled it back up, and it was bad jazz. And I'm like, what kind of torture is this? Now, here in the Waymo, it goes, you want to play some music? I could play my music. It was funny to watch this car just drive and do what it did, and it did it really well. And I said, yeah, pull over right here was a button. Pulled over right there. I got out right here, and I was like, I'm done. And it was half the price of the Uber.
I like Waymo.
Look at come on.
I'm opposed to it.
You got to try it.
People need jobs.
We have
a responsibility.
You're right.
We have a responsibility to our fellow man.
That's
we
true.
We have to keep people employed. We can't just give more money to big tech while big tech robs jobs from real people.
This Waymo robot I like. I like this robot. This reminds me of like the robot in Lost in Space. I like this robot. This is a good robot.
I like the robot in Lost in Space. I don't like this robot.
You haven't met this robot. You got to try it.
No.
Why not?
I have principles. I really don't believe that we should be taking away even the gig economy, which I think is a disaster to the American people. At least let them have the gig economy.
Not this part.
Well, okay. Well, soon you'll be going for we'll be standing on our heads where conservatives are saying that we need a universal wage to be paid to people. This is the topsy-turvy world we're going into.
Well, then give me a better service.
Well, is there that Alto thing? There's other services that are out there that
I like Alto. I'm not saying I would use Waymo for everything, but this particular short ride, I really loved it.
I'm not supporting this. I'm not. Philosophically, it's
James,
wrong.
I like Waymo, and I think I agree that the gig economy is a disaster, and so I don't think that giving strangers rides in your own car is like the last bastion of the last step before just like unemployment. And like if that is the case, then it shouldn't be. And so like I would rather. Like I was very against Waymo for like that same reason, but then taking a Waymo and realizing that that's what Uber is just like I'm in someone's shitty car that I don't know, and I'm gonna give him pennies to drive me to my house.
I agree.
Is like that's more depressing to me. Where I just I think we can have an automated taxi and not have people dying from starvation. I think like there's other jobs that people should get.
I like the way he puts it. So basically, a gig Uber Lyft guy is the 21st century of pulling a rickshaw.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because it's your own car too. You're putting miles on your car, and like getting a lot of them. When Uber first started, it was like sick with like a lot of these tech things. It was like, oh man, how could I have ever lived without this? And then now 10 years later, it sucks.
Yeah,
and all the cars stink. And a Tesla Model 3 is not an Uber Black guy.
You're right.
And so like it is just sort of like it's a weird feeling to
it is. And I didn't want to feel it. And I didn't know this until I'd had it I didn't have the experience. I went, oh my God. It's revelatory. It makes sense now.
Yeah, I think there's work to be done to provide other jobs for guys.
That's very well put. Very well put.
Said.
Well said.
He wins the humanitarian award.
Running in 2020.
We have the Albert Schweitzer Award, humanitarian award right here.
Thank you.
Fellas, it's been nice chatting with you. James, it's been nice of you to come by and fill in.
Totally.
We love having you here. In a minute, Carol Leifer is going to be with us. But first, you want to stay for BlueChew before you leave?
Why not?
Always, dude.
All right.
Always.
Are you ready? Do you like to have sex?
I gotta go.
With myself?
How about having a sex in a Waymo? There's no one there, no driver to look. You can do it with BlueChew. BlueChew and Waymo are partnering with the first collab. There it is. The little BlueChew dispenser right in the back of your Waymo so they can watch you on the cameras at night. That's the one thing that does freak you out a little bit about the Waymos. They got cameras on you. They can watch you
everywhere.
Yeah, they can't
And
control.
if you act up, they'll talk to you.
You know
Really?
what? BlueChew won't stop until every man is bricked up like a brick house. That is the mission. Everyone could use a little extra hand, and with BlueChew, you get an extra leg. More horsepower. Nuff said. They said nuff said, but they spelled it N-O-U-G-H, right? Isn't it?
Oh, like
if you're going to use that cliche,
N-U-F-F.
you want to say N-U-F-F, right?
N-U-F-F.
Here's a real comment someone had about BlueChew. I can cut diamonds with my tip, dude. That's in the read.
Dude.
That is definitely a real comment.
That's right up there
I didn't
with
make that up.
So hard a cat couldn't scratch it.
See, this sounds like a fake one. BlueChew will get you harder than a 2x4 in winter taking a math test. Nah, stick with I cut diamonds with my tip, dude. You could be missing out on the best sex of your life. You need to get BlueChew, and guess what? Make life easier by getting hard and discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try your first month of BlueChew free when you use promo code Spike911. Just pay $5 for shipping. That's promo code Spike911. Visit BlueChew.com.
It's fruit punch flavored.
What do they consider to be a...
Did they really say that?
Yeah.
Fruit punch flavored, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
What do they consider to be a month's supply?
What's
Is that what's their idea of a
how
month
much is
of
a
sex?
See, there it is. 6 right there.
Okay, that's a week's supply.
For you.
Pro.
That's our ad for BlueChew.com. Let's talk to Carol Leifer.
Cut yourself a whole setup here?
You like it?
I do.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to have you here. Mm-hmm. This is exciting.
But these are not your cars.
Some of them are.
Oh,
Some of them aren't.
all right.
But because you know Erica,
yeah.
I'd rather not say. A lot of people don't know we're neighbors as well.
That's right.
We kind of live in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
now.
That's funny that you mentioned Erica because, you know, when I last saw Jerry Seinfeld, I like to ask him relationship questions.
Yeah.
He's very sage. I asked him, I said, you know, my wife, Lori, I said, I tell her all day where I am. Like, I'm going to the hair salon. I'm going to the supermarket. Like, she knows where I am. She's like a woman of mystery. She'll leave the house, and I don't know where she is until 5 o'clock or something. So a couple of times, as you know, in a marriage, I said, you know, if you could just tell me, like, during the day, you know, I'm just interested where you are, and if you're near the market, maybe you can. And she's been very resentful. I feel it's a little bit like a straight guy.
Yeah.
So I said to Seinfeld, do you think this is something that I should push with her or just lay back? And he said to me, why don't you get on, what's it called, 360?
360 or any number of share my location apps.
Right. And I thought, that is the solution. And then I thought about it, and I was like, I don't want her to see when I go shopping. Because it's like, oh, you're at Neiman Marcus for 2 hours? What? You know, so.
That's all that app is. You know, my wife is the exact same way. My boys and I, we all share our locations. We love it. I love to go, hey, what are you doing there?
Yeah.
It's fun for us.
Right.
She's like, why are you tracking me?
Oh.
Why
really?
are you tracking me? So she does not participate in the sharing.
Oh, she doesn't.
But I can follow her on the Tesla app. I can see her. And you're right. It's always like, what are you doing at Smart and Final right now? On a Tuesday.
Yeah, we don't need a bushel of peanuts.
That's pretty amazing. Well, this is good.
Yeah.
These are very Seinfeldian observations.
They are, right?
Let's talk about Seinfeld. You and I both wrote there back in the day.
Yes.
And it was quite a time. I think about a lot, since this is kind of a car podcast.
Yeah.
The time that you asked me to go along with you like at lunch hour.
Okay.
You said, I'm leasing a BMW and I'd like you to come to the dealership with me so I don't get ripped off.
Yes.
And I think I said at the time, I go, I don't know how I prevent that because I don't know much about lease deals.
Okay.
And you said something like, well, you're a guy.
It's good to bring a guy.
Yeah, it'll be like we're a couple. You come in and, just let me do the talking.
Right, a woman walks into a car dealership.
Correct.
It's like, whoop, 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 whoop.
And do you remember what happened there? We went in.
I don't remember.
You had some white BMW you were interested in.
Yes, with a blue convertible with a navy top. I love that car.
Super excited about it. And the salesman doesn't rip you off. He asks you out right in front of me. Do you remember this?
I don't. No.
I couldn't believe it. And after we were in the car and I said, Carol, I can't. I'm stunned. She goes, why? I get asked out all the time. I go, no. I was the guy with you.
Yes.
I'm the boyfriend or the husband or the something. And you said, well, apparently he doesn't see you that way. And I went, wow. And that was, it immediately went into my Seinfeld story net.
Yeah.
And it ended up in one of the episodes,
Which
the Wig
episode?
Master. We have a clip of it right here.
Yeah.
How could you love a guy like that? He's a mess. I just don't see them together at all.
Ethan?
Yes?
Hi, it's me, Jesse. George Hamilton.
Who's that fella again? Mike?
Oh, Mike McDonald.
Mike McDonald, that's right.
And Patrick Bristow.
Yep.
Ethan, what
So here he is getting asked out.
I'm touring with Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
You're kidding. Listen, maybe you and I should get together. Have you been on the slide at Club USA? It's intense.
Excuse
Boy,
me.
that's a really old reference.
me.
There
Are
really
you
was a
asking him
Club
out?
USA. And there it is.
Yeah, I
Jerry's
guess
up
you could
now
say
upset.
that.
Right in front of me?
Well, it's very emasculating.
Well, it's very emasculating.
It is.
It's a perfect example of a Seinfeld, like Larry David theory of story, which is what happened to you and what did you want to do that you didn't do?
Yes,
now,
exactly.
I kept my mouth shut and I left, but that's what I wanted to do.
Wow. You see, I didn't remember that story. I didn't remember that you incorporated it into the Wig Master. But as you know from Seinfeld,
Yes.
anything that happened in real life, it was like add 100 points to your pitch,
Mike's
There's
won't
my
pick it up.
ride.
It's a crazy day. It's marathon day
right.
out there. Yeah.
But a lot of times Larry David would use stories unbeknownst to the writers. For example, I always talk about, as you well know, one of the benefits of writing on Seinfeld was we were involved in every step of the process, which most writers are not on sitcoms. So the casting, picking out props, watching the run-throughs, we were always involved in everything. And we were involved in the editing, which is amazing because, again, most shows, when you write on the shows, that's
right.
where the writer is left out. So Larry and I were editing one of my episodes, and we were working late. And so Larry and I said, we're going to get a bite. And the editor at the time, Janet Ashikaga, Larry said, is there anything we can get you? And she said, yeah, just get me a big salad. So we went out to eat dinner. We ordered the big salad to go. And when we went into the editing room, excuse me, I handed Janet the salad and I said, here you go, which became the episode, The Big Salad.
You're kidding.
That I was the one. Larry didn't get credit for paying for it, and I handed her the salad.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, yes. And I didn't know that until read-through of the script. It's like, oh my God, this script is about me. And what happened that night with
So he
everything.
didn't even mention it.
No, not at all.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I was always impressed with Larry. Like I would need a story or something, or a story would get yanked out, and you'd go and meet with him, and he'd go, hey, what about something with a jacket? And I go, haven't we done enough jacket stories?
There were
I go, do you really have another one? It was season 7. Do you have another one? I'm thinking, what is he doing? He goes, yeah, I was maybe something with a crested blazer, like a jacket with a, remember they'd have like the royal crest on it? And I would say, what's the story exactly? And then he would say, I went and tried on this jacket. It was a crested blazer and I didn't want it and I'd put it down. But the salesman said, he goes, you're not going to buy that? He made me feel guilty for putting it back. And he made me feel like I didn't have the money to buy it had I wanted to buy it. So I bought it out of spite. And I went, oh, that's a good story.
He's very involved with spite.
And
yeah,
he was involved with spite, but it's still, I was thinking, God, we've done so many jacket stories, but the crested blazer story, it just worked immediately. I remember going on the floor that night and people are laughing and I'm like, God, this guy is so good at stories.
Yes.
Even though we're like hyper focused on these small things, he's way down here going, let me just work the blazer angle.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
He is truly a genius that way. But I always felt that as a woman writer, which was in the minority of the Seinfeld writers, I always felt like I had actually a distinct advantage because the stories that I was going to come up with were really many times not stories that guys would come up with, like
right.
Elaine thinks there are skinny mirrors at Barney's.
Right.
I mean, that was a great example.
Wasn't it also the nail salon that you were at?
Yes. Elaine thinks the Korean manicurists are talking about her behind her back in Korean.
And did that really happen?
Yes, absolutely. But the rainbow at the end of this story is I did not only write it about my nail salon in New York, Ruby Nails, but they used for the exterior my nail place, Ruby Nails.
Oh, no way.
So the manicurists were over the moon and I would walk in and I had free manicures for I don't know how many years because they were like, oh, Carol Seinfeld.
It's that episode really gets into everybody's heads. Like I've never had a manicure or a pedicure till I started playing tennis.
Oh.
And now whenever we travel, my wife, the first day, she knows that first day of travel is really rough for me, like being out of my, my house or my town. She brings me for a pedicure and a manicure. So I've had 3 of them now. And every, I'm hopeless in there. I don't know what to do. I sit there. She's just saying, just do this to him, do this, this, and this. And they start talking. And I think of that episode.
Right.
I'm like, they're looking at these horrible tennis feet. Like tennis players have horrible feet. And I have them. I never did, but I've got weird nails now and it's not good. And they start talking.
And laughing.
And laughing.
Yes.
And I think of your episode and I get really paranoid. And I'm like, did we not learn from Carol's episode that we need to learn these languages, Mandarin or whatever they're speaking, so I can hear and understand what they're saying?
But that also shows the genius of Larry and Jerry being the showrunners, that they took that idea and then Frank Costanza remembers one of the manicurists from the Korean War. And then that whole story took off.
That's so funny.
So they would take the story and then expound on it in these unbelievable ways.
There's also, you also wrote The Rye.
Yes.
Which has one of my favorite moments in the series in it. This one right here. Here, look at this clip.
I'll give you $50. Now be reasonable. You cannot turn down $50 for a $6 rye.
This.
No, watch me. Stop it.
What's the ride, lady?
Help!
Shut up, you old bag.
Shut up, you old bag. And then Jerry's comedy run up the sidewalk.
I remember that so vividly.
I do too. I can't believe we're having this character rob an old lady.
Yes.
And run up the sidewalk. Was that line, shut up, you old bag, in the original script?
I'm not sure. But I do know.
What's the mugging in the original script? He's got to grab it from her like that?
He's got to grab it from her like that.
Yeah.
And then I remember when we did the playback for the audience, which we would do in these episodes, because obviously that wasn't in front of a live audience. I remember we all looked at each other and we said, if we didn't know Jerry Seinfeld was a star, a beloved star at this point, stealing a bread from a woman and saying, shut up, you old bag, of the audience, oh, Jerry.
Yeah, I know.
That was a testament to how much people loved and love him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of shocking that night. It was a kind of shocking moment for us. Also shocking, though, is Jerry. That was a very memorable shoot. We were on the Paramount lot, right? And we had to create winter, or I think, and it was April, I think, when we were shooting this, I think. There's so many odd things about that night. One is this shot here. Jerry drove this car and parked it on the streets of New York in winter. So in no world would there ever be a 1973 911 RS
on
parked
the street.
Yeah. But you'll see it. I think that's just a shot of him while we're shooting. But if you're watching that episode, that was Jerry's car at the time. He then sold it to me. And then I sold it to Paul. And I think it's back there.
Oh, really?
There's the orange car from the ride back there. Yeah, we'll get a shot of it. Cameron, you can get a shot of it after.
You mean because it's such a rare car that immediately thieves would have pounced upon it?
It's not something you leave in winter on the sidewalk.
Yes.
But you would drive it to the Paramount lot. Also, on the DVD commentary, Jerry says this is his favorite episode of the series, which he says a lot about a lot of different episodes. You know, when I talked to Jerry about the truths of the origin of Seinfeld and favorite episodes, he goes, it's whatever I say that week or that month. But back then, he said this was the greatest and his favorite. And then it said during the filming of the episode late at night at the Paramount set, the crew stopped work and amused themselves with a 25-minute snowball fight. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. I do.
Is that time accurate?
I would say probably because, you know, at that time for us to shoot on a different lot, the Paramount lot.
Oh, that's right.
And I remember they spent $1 million making this episode.
Wow.
Which was way over the budget of
the whole episode was $1 million?
I think.
That's cheap now.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. And, you know, they put in this fake snow.
Yeah.
And so also we shot there so Kramer could be driving his handsome cab.
Yeah.
So we had the room there. The horse Rusty, who ate too much beefarino from Costco.
Beefarino, that's
and had
right.
flatulence.
That's right.
Yeah. So I do remember that snowball fight because
it was fun.
We were often just really stuck in the studio and not outside.
And we were left. It was so fun that night. I also remember that night I brought my dog at the time, Cooper, who was an Australian Shepherd and really was not well behaved. And that was mostly my fault. And he came to the set, and I had him, of course, not on a leash.
Yeah,
great idea. This is my thinking on a set. But like you said, it was the end of the season. We've got snow. We're having fun.
Right.
The pressure's letting up. We don't get out much. That dog ran right for the horse and started attacking one of those.
Oh, no.
It was unbelievable. And the horse kicked up. Whose fucking dog is this? I was like, God damn it. That's what I remember most about that is how my dog was almost stomped by a horse and the horse almost ran nuts and ran people down. But
I do remember when we were editing The Rye that Larry and I had a disagreement over whether we should show a shot of the horse's butt, you know, Kramer's POV of the horse's butt to sell the flatulence. And originally Larry was like, no horse's butt. No, we're not going to show that. And I was like, I think you really need it to sell the flatulence. And eventually he came around and he was very nice about it. You know, he calls me Cat. You know, Cat, you were right. Yeah, we did.
But it was tastefully done. It's not like a YouTube horse fart where the tail comes up like this.
Right. And a sound.
There's
no sound.
Oh, there was no sound.
No.
Right. So calibrated perfectly. Let's talk about RaceDeck. RaceDeck is the original modular flooring system engineered for the garage with over 33 patents and proudly made in the USA. Installs in just hours without toxic epoxy or adhesive mess. It's a snaps together. RaceDeck is engineered to be a true do-it-yourself garage flooring system. In as little as 2 hours, you can transform your garage into the coolest garage on the block. Over 20 styles to transform that ugly garage to the super cool garage. And self-draining design allows for liquids to flow freely to drains or out the door, just like my pants, Carol. Modular flooring for your garage did not exist prior to RaceDeck. They pioneered the industry. RaceDeck was born out of a passion for garage life. Shop at racedeck.com and use code SPIKE911 for an exclusive 15% off and free shipping. And we thank RaceDeck for for sponsoring the show. Now, Carol, you had another car story.
I did have a story about cars.
All right, let's talk about that first, then we'll talk about your new book.
Okay, just because this is your universe.
Okay.
So I want to dazzle you, I hope, with some car stories. My brother was home from the University of Chicago that summer, and he had a Sunbeam, a 66 Sunbeam.
Mm-hmm.
So and it was the greatest car. And it had like, he would drive it, and then he had a cover for the back seat and the other seat. And my sister and I would hide in the back of the car. Cover. Yeah, and kind of pop out and scare the shit out of them. So I thought you'd enjoy that, because apparently the 66 Sunbeam is...
They're beautiful cars.
Yeah.
I believe that's the Get Smart car.
Really? Maybe
Yeah,
that's
pull
why
up
he
Get
got
Smart's car. Yeah, there it is. Was that the car?
Yeah, it was a white one, but yes.
But there it is.
That
right?
is.
And there's Get Smart.
Right.
And there's the little tonneau in the back where you used to hide.
Yes.
They're beautiful. I always loved this car. This always looked to me as a kid like a car that I could really drive.
Yeah, it was very super cool. And then when I got my license,
right,
my car was a 67 Firebird.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you've had some cool cars. What are you driving right now?
I have an electric car.
Yeah.
I have a i3.
Yes.
BMW.
Those are great.
Yeah.
You like that.
But they stopped making it, so I bought it because I love it. I actually do a joke about having an electric car in my act now.
What's the joke?
The joke is, the environment, we all need to be mindful, but I'm not perfect. I mean, on one hand, I drive an electric car, but on the other hand, I have a V8 on my vibrator. What a gas guzzler that thing is.
I like that joke.
Yeah. V8 turbo, V8, but
right.
A lot of men have just said, just V8 will
just
sell
V8?
that joke. Yeah. What do you think?
Just the V8.
Yeah. Right?
Well, if you could get granular and say a flat 6.
V8
That's
flat
a Porsche
6?
engine. No,
yeah.
You'd say a flat 6.
Oh, a flat 6.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Twin turbocharged.
Okay,
also a phrase I like.
But I do like the electric
with
car.
With a supercharger on it.
All right, I'll have to write.
That blows coal out the straight pipes. What? I don't even know what I'm saying.
I'm going to write those down later.
I want to talk about the book, but I also just want to...
I have more car story.
You have another car story?
Stuff.
Go
yes,
ahead. Yeah,
yes.
sure.
So the other thing is, besides my i3, which BMW you still should make, because the car, I always think my dad, has a lot of pep. You put your, right? Great turn radius.
Yeah.
Really great. I can get into any spot.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm trying to say is, still women with cars. You went with me to a car dealership.
Right.
I brought you along for protection.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I had a great Jaguar, a 99 Jaguar that I got. I started to have a lot of trouble with it. So one of the codes came up, whatever the fuck that is, and I brought it to the dealership, the service center, and the guy said, you need a new carburetor. And it's going to be, I was like, how much is that? He was like, about 14 grand.
Oh, Jesus.
So I was like, oh, okay. So I called our buddy, Jay Leno, and I said, Jay, I just want to double check this is true before I shell out $14K. And he said, what's the code number? I gave him the code number, and he said, oh, no. You need this, whatever it was, which was like $230. So do you know how great it was to march back into that dealership? I didn't have to bring Jay at this point. I had the intel.
Right.
And I said, my friend, Jay Leno, told me that this code means this. I don't need a new carburetor. I need this. And it's 200 something stuff. And the guy, slinked away guiltily.
And that was it. And then what did you end up getting charged?
200 and something stuff for whatever the thing I need. I did not need a new carburetor.
I would have not gone back to that place.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, maybe I should have done that.
I would have just driven it over to Jay's and said, will you do it for 300?
But again,
no,
the
you had that
Seinfeld
moment.
vein,
You had that moment.
Right. I wanted to lord it over him like you
That's
thought
true.
you had me, but you didn't.
Oh, man. That's
can't
really
curse on
not
this.
fair. You can say whatever
Yeah.
you want. Yeah, I don't think we have a family rating. But let's
Motherfucker.
talk about your book. That's why you're
Yeah.
here. Hold on, let me get to the page.
One
about
of the
book.
reasons I'm here. I always love being with you, Spike.
Look, how to write a funny speech. Here it is, right here. You can buy this book on Amazon or anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there's the focus. There it is.
Right. And it's $15. I mean, come on. How great is that for a gift?
It's a even for someone like me, it's like a public service. Like I was thinking, like,
Thank you.
I've done a few of these speeches. There's a lot of pressure on a wedding speech.
Yes.
There's a lot more when you're like us, or you're a writer, or you're a comedian. You're like, now there's an expectation. And I think I get just as lost as everyone does when it comes to one of these speeches.
Really?
And I'm
I'm surprised because most comedians, funny people enjoy giving speeches because we like being in front of people.
Yeah, do you?
I do.
Like being in front of
I
people?
love giving speeches.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I wish I could get there.
Every
Once in a while, I'm invited to go do an hour of speaking somewhere, and it's a pretty decent check. But I'm just like, what the hell am I going to say? But again, like this book starts to kind of lay it out simply, and you see that there's a basic structure. So for folks, let's like a wedding speech.
Right.
We've all seen the one that goes wrong with the idiot guy.
Yeah,
that goes
and then
wrong.
it goes online, which haunts the person forever.
How does this? What can you tell us that isn't telling us too much about the book that gives too much away? Because I read through it, and it's after you look at this book, you go, "Oh, this I really now want to try this because I have a weapon."
Good. That's what
to
we
use,
wanted.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Short, handy. It's not a giant tome.
Right. So
Practical.
give us like a practical tip.
In Rick Mitchell and I, who I co-wrote this with,
Mm-hmm.
we've seen a lot of speeches. And there are things that are 101 that people apparently don't seem to know. For example, when you get up to make a speech, you need to say who you are to this person.
Oh, yeah.
Because so many people get up there and they just start talking about the person. And 4 minutes
That's
in, you're
right.
like trying to figure out, who is this a cousin? Is this a frat brother? I don't know. And then, it becomes an episode of Dateline, like trying to figure out who. So you have to say who you are to the person. The other big mistake that people make is going on and on.
Mm-hmm.
No, 5 minutes or under.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's, a rule.
Which is still a lot of time.
It's still a lot of time.
It's gonna
and a
feel
lot of people don't realize. They think more shows that you care more.
Yeah. No, that's wrong.
No, that's very wrong. And the other thing that people don't realize is you're probably not the only person that they've asked to speak.
Right.
And usually dinner is served after the speeches. So it's the audience also is thinking, let's get on with this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Another big mistake that people make is drinking too much before a speech.
Yeah, that's right. You get anxious.
Yeah. And then you have one drink.
You tamp that
loosen
down.
up.
Right.
Then they have another or 7 more.
That's where it goes wrong.
It does. And then they're up there blotto and it's embarrassing. They're loose, but the audience, the people attending are in shock.
Yeah. I don't, Jerry told me this. I had to jump in front of the camera and learn how to be on camera very quickly. And I called everybody I knew. And Jerry had a great tip. And I don't know if this is in your book. It probably is. But turning anxiety into energy. You're not anxious. You're excited. You're going to use that. You're going to surf that into the excitement to perform.
Yes.
That you change the word and the thinking. And that really helped. Like, I'm pumped up to get out there. I'm not nervous. This is my performance tank filling up.
Right.
And
I think the other thing your average person doesn't realize is most comedians, I get nervous before I perform, and I've been doing it for 3,000 years. It's normal. So when people are like, I can't do this, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
It's not only normal, but like you're saying, it's a good energy pump.
Right.
But I think what I want to encourage people to buy the book is because we really walk everyone through beginning, middle, and even if you don't have a lot of time or you're lazy, we have templates for you to kind of like Mad Libs, fill in certain things that are important, and then you have your speech. So it's, simplifying the process. That was our goal. And to avoid giant mistakes so it doesn't live on the internet.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And the book definitely does that. And it's funny, when I was looking through it, it made me want to get out there and do it.
Right?
Like, maybe someone will ask me to speak at their bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah,
and the other
somewhere.
thing that, we have is we made lists of jokes for certain occasions.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So that steal these jokes.
Yes.
You're more than welcome to steal jokes from 2 Emmy-winning writers.
Yes. And look, and you got Carol Burnett to write the foreword.
I did.
Wow.
Yeah. Carol Burnett.
She's really funny. She goes, I don't even know how to approach this forward. Right at the beginning of it. She said something really funny in the beginning there. Like, there's an introduction there. I wish I knew how to write a funny forward. So I'm not even going to try. That's a great setup.
Yes, yes.
She knows.
She knows. But what's amazing about Carol Burnett is she is one of the most, not only nicest, sweetest people.
Yeah.
And when you meet your heroes, you never know.
Yes.
But literally, I was so afraid to ask her to write the forward. And I sent her an email with like, the thing that I always do when I ask a favor, and I ask a lot of favors, is I always give people an out.
Yeah.
Carol, if you would consider, because I've written for her for a couple of shows, if you would consider writing the forward, we would love it. But if you can't do it, no problem. No harm, no foul. I won't be offended. Totally fine. Because I feel like when you ask someone a favor, giving them the out is great. And a lot of times people take it. That's their choice. Perfect. So I sent it to her on a Friday of Memorial Day weekend. She was like, send me the book. Sent it to her Sunday. She had not only read it and liked it, but she had written the foreword.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, with our comedian friends, you ask a favor like that.
Yeah.
It's way more work
than
that.
Is.
So Carol Burnett, there's nobody better.
She just killed it. Well, here it is. How to Write a Funny Speech.
Yeah.
Available everywhere where you get books, or just Amazon?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
And do I get to keep this one?
Yes, you
I
do.
would like to keep that.
Yes.
This will keep me calm. And I want to ask you about the speeches after the show. How do you fill an hour? That's your next book.
Oh, an hour.
What do you do when a group of corporate people ask you to come up for an hour and stand at a podium and talk? What would I do? You can help me with that. And that's our show for today.
Thanks, chicken.
Yes, chicken.
We call each other chicken and we have no idea why.
We'll see you next week. Spike's Car Radio.